Welcome to part 5 of Let's Play The Crown of Kings by Steve Jackson. At the end of the last part, I was about to read paragraph 479. Here we go. You leave the room carefully, checking to make sure no one else is about. The way is clear. You creep quietly along the passageway until you reach a T-junction. To the left, the passage ends in a solid metal door. Over the door, almost as a trophy, is a rope tied in a noose. To the right there are two doors from which to choose. In the left-hand wall of the passage is a wooden door, while at the end of the passage is a half-open door with a bell pull hanging next to it. Will you turn left and try the door at the end, turn to 6? Or will you turn right and try either the door on the left, turn to 517, or the door straight ahead, turn to 319? Okay, we are going to turn left and try the door at the end and turn to 6. Here we are. The heavy door is locked. Being solid metal, you do not fancy your chances at breaking it down. If you have a silver key, you may try it in the lock by turning to the reference corresponding to the number cast into the key. If the reference makes sense, the key fits. If not, it does not. Otherwise, you can knock on the door by turning to 178. Okay, do we have a silver key? Let's have a look. Let's do a search. So search for silver, just in case it was called something slightly different. We have a silver serpent ring and we have a silver whistle, and that's it. So no silver key, and that means we have to turn to 178. Here we are. Your knock is heard by someone inside the room. A voice bids you come in, and the tumblers in the lock turn. You open the door and step inside. As you do so, you fling yourself backwards instinctively. For above the door hangs a morning star, a vicious weapon consisting of a solid metal spiked ball hanging from a handle by a length of chain. As you opened the door, it took the ball outwards to swing back at your face. Test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 190. If you are unlucky, turn to 64. Okay, our luck is currently 15, so we need this dice roll to be 15 or lower, which it's guaranteed to be. So we've got an 8, and that means we were lucky, but we have to lose a luck point. If we were unlucky, then we don't have to lose a luck point because we have some sort of lucky charm, which is somewhere around here, but I can't be bothered to find it. Anyway, so we're down to 14 luck, and we were lucky, so we're turning to 190. Here we are. Just in time, you manage to avoid the full impact of the morning star. It swings past your ear and catches you across the temple. Deduct 1 stamina point for the graze and enter the room. Turn to 251. If we were unlucky, I think we'd have to lose 3 points of stamina. Anyway, so we lose 1 point of stamina, so that puts us down to 21 stamina. And then we're turning to 251. Here we are. The large room inside is a fearful sight. The walls are black and festooned with chains. What it lacks in furniture, it makes up for in traps, cages, racks, and innumerable other amusements designed for the torture of hapless victims. In one corner of the room stands a brutally ugly ogre, with a patch over one eye and a whip in his hand. As you step into the room, a smile curls across his face. So, his voice booms at you, the Analander. The Master's serpents did not lie. We have been expecting you. You have saved us a great deal of trouble by coming here of your own accord. You would have wound up in this room anyway, but no doubt not of your own choosing. He laughs hard and deep and cracks his whip as if to emphasize his joke. What will your reaction be? Will you draw a weapon to fight him? Turn to 270. Will you offer him a rich reward if he will help you? Turn to 373. Or will you cast a spell? Tell 592, Zip 619, Pop 794, Sun 752, Nif 709. Okay, and there he is. Very handsome. Okay, now in this paragraph we've been recognised as the Analander, therefore that shouldn't happen because we prevented all the serpents from from informing the Archmage that we were on our way. So therefore we're subtracting 40 from this paragraph and turning to 211. So let's go there now. Here we are. A visitor, exclaims the torture master as you enter the room. And, I feel, one with a sense of fun. No one comes into this room unless they wish something from Negamante. I will offer you a bargain. Ask of me what you require. If I can help, I may. Then I will ask you a question. If you cannot answer, then you shall be my amusement for the rest of the day. What say you? If you will accept his offer, turn to 361. If you refuse, turn to 557. Okay, we're going to accept his offer and turn to 361. Here we are. You agree to his terms. What will your first question to him be? Will you ask him casually about some of the tortures he has enjoyed in the past and then ask where you may find the Archmage? Turn to 143. Will you ask him his favourite weapon and then ask whether he knows anything of the Crown of Kings? Turn to 199. Or will you compliment him on such a fine torture chamber and then ask whether he knows anything of the Throban doors? Turn to 215. Okay, we are going to compliment him on his fine torture chamber and then ask whether he knows anything of the Throban doors. And therefore we're turning to 215. He falls silent as you pay your respects. You have appealed to his sense of professional pride. No one has ever complimented me before like that, he sighs. What your business is here I do not know, but those kind words deserve thanks. You wish to know about the Throban doors? Well, I will tell you this. If you leave this room through the door on the left, you will eventually arrive at a Throban door. This door is open, but when you open the door, you will seemingly step into a pit of hellfire. Ignore this, for it is naught but an illusion, and will burn only those who believe in its existence. But you must plunge in at your first opportunity. Any hesitation or dawdling will destroy your belief in the flame as an illusion. Let nothing sidetrack you. Bit of a tongue twister there. That is all I will tell you, and tell not a soul that Negamante revealed its secret to you. You thank him for his advice and leave the room. He seems to have forgotten all about asking you a question in return. If you follow his advice and find a large double door, then when you step through it into the fire beyond, turn to 399 instead of the reference mentioned, because you know its secret. Continue now by turning to 230. Okay, so let's make a note. When we step through the double doors, turn to 399. So when we step through the double doors, turn to paragraph 399. I better just mention the fire. Double doors and fire. There we go. Okie dokie. Anyway, we're now going to continue by turning to 230. Just around the corner, figuratively speaking. Anyway, you have a choice of two doors leading from the torture room. They are both in the wall ahead of you, leading further into the inner chambers. Will you take the door in the corner on the left, turn to 236, or the other door to its right, turn to 93? Okay, we're going to take the door in the corner on the left and turn to 236. You open the door and step out into an arched cloister. The cloister runs round a sort of yard. You follow it round, turning the first corner and looking for a suitable way onwards. At the midpoint of the second wall, a passageway leads out from this courtyard back into the main building. Doors lead off on both sides of this passageway, and at the far end there is another door. Towards the end of the passage, on the right-hand side, a sign swings in the gentle breeze. It reads, Nylock, Merchant, Open. Before that, another door reads, Inner Sanctum. If you wish to try the earlier right-hand door, turn to 140. If you wish to see what the merchant has for sale, turn to 91. If you wish to continue down the passage and leave through the door at the end, turn to 310. Okay, we're going to see what the merchant has for sale and turn to 91. The door to the room is already open and you step inside. As you would expect, the walls are ribbed with shelves on which hundreds of trinkets, artifacts, knickknacks and treasures are displayed. A plump, yellow-skinned merchant sits behind a table in one corner and eyes you suspiciously. He seems to be undefended and you cannot see how he prevents his customers from stealing his wares. Do you have any money? If so, you may purchase some of his merchandise. Turn to 494. Otherwise, you may attempt to steal something. If you want to do this, you must test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 116. If you are unlucky, turn to 267. If you don't want to steal and you haven't any gold, leave the room and try the door at the end of the passageway. Turn to 310. Okay, and there it is. Okay, we're going to purchase some of his merchandise and turn to 494. Here we are. A number of the merchant's wares are interesting. You browse through his shelves and ask him about several items that take your fancy. He recommends a rusty cutlass, which he claims is an enchanted weapon and a bargain at 3 gold pieces. He also has a set of 2 candles bound together. According to the merchant, these will light to order. One is a red blood candle made from the dried blood of a firefox, while the other is an ordinary wax candle. These will cost you 2 gold pieces. He has a number of spell artifacts, some of the ones you might require for spells, but these are expensive at 5 gold pieces each. A bird's nest has a single golden egg inside. This will cost you 2 gold pieces. And a pouch hanging from one of the uppermost shelves contains ancient silver pieces. These will cost you 4 gold pieces, but he will not part with the pouch, which is not for sale. If you wish to buy any of these, decide which you want, pay the price in gold pieces and turn to the reference below. Rusty cutlass, turn to 85. Candles, turn to 303. Spell artifacts, turn to 226. Nest with egg, turn to 108. Silver pieces, turn to 208. Okay, we're going to buy some candles, and that's going to cost us 2 gold pieces. So, yes, let's write that down. So that takes our gold down to 71, but we have the candles. So 2 candles will light to order. One is a firefox. No, one is made from, well, one is red and is made from the blood of a firefox. I'm capitalizing that because it was capitalized in the book. There we go. Okay, good. So that's that. Okay, so we're turning to 303 now. So let's go there now. As he has told you, the 2 candles are self-lighting. The blood candle will last longer than the normal one. Now turn to 473. I'll just make a note that it lasts longer. lasts longer. There we go. Now turn to 473. Off we go. Did you buy any of the other items for sale? If so, turn to the appropriate reference to find out what its properties are. Rusty cutlass, turn to 85. Candles, turn to 303. Spell artifacts, turn to 226. Nest with egg, turn to 108. Silver pieces, turn to 208. If you have now investigated all of your purchases, leave the merchant and continue to the door at the end of the passageway. Turn to 310. Okay, we're turning to 310 now. We're not buying anything else. So 310. The door opens into a passageway. To the right, the way leads onwards and the passage widens. To the left, it reaches a dead end. You decide to turn right and follow the passage. Turn to 124. The passageway widens until you reach an open hallway, which is evidently a main thoroughfare. Several passages open out into this area, and the way onwards is a choice of 2 doors. Ahead are 2 heavy wooden double doors, standing some 3 yards high. Your caution is aroused by the fact that one of these doors is slightly ajar. The other door is a more ornate affair, a few yards to the left of the double doors. Carvings are set in its wooden timbers. Do you wish to investigate the large double doors, turn to 41, or will you instead try the smaller door, turn to 54? We are going to try the smaller door and turn to 54. The carvings on the door itself are interesting, but give you no useful information. Grasping the handle, you open the door. Inside you find a bare room with a mechanical contraption of some sort standing alone in the centre of the floor. It is made of brass and iron, with wheels, bands and cogs linked together in a way that suggests some sort of machine designed to work metal. But it is still. If you wish to try to discover how it works, test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 460. If you are unlucky, turn to 514. If you do not wish to waste your time with it, turn to 81. Okay, there's the machine. Okay, we're going to test our luck, so let's do that now. Our luck is currently 14, and we got 8 again, so we were lucky, but we lose another luck point, so let's make a note of that. So our luck is currently down to 13. Lucky 13. Anyway, so we were lucky, and so we're turning to 460. Here we are. You turn a few wheels and push a couple of levers, but nothing seems to make any difference. Suddenly, it splutters. You repeat your actions and it splutters again, but this time something catches and the machine springs to life. Wheels turn, plates move up and down, and steam rises from the top of the contraption. But you still cannot decide what it does. Finally, it dawns on you. This is a device for sharpening weapons and knives. It has a large grindstone rotating at the back. You may use it to sharpen your own weapons if you have any. Anything you sharpen on the machine will add a bonus of 1 point onto your attack strength from now on. When you have done this, you can turn the machine off and concentrate on your mission. You don't seem to be able to get through this room, so you will have to return to the main hallway. Turn to 81. Okay, so that means our weapons get another +1 attack strength. So that means we get a +4 now. So weapons have been, or rather our weapon has been sharpened, and so we have a +1 bonus to our attack strength in battle. There we go. Okay, so that's a +4 total now in battle, which is Crazy. Anyway, we're now turning to 81. Although that's... I'm a bit confused with that, because the attack strength is based upon our skill. How does having a sharper weapon mean that our skill is sort of better, if you know what I mean? I mean, I know it's just a book and everything, it just... having a sharper weapon doesn't increase the chances that we'll land a hit. If anything, it just means if we do land a hit, it causes more damage, because it's a sharper blade. So if anything, what that should have done is made it so that if we get a hit in, it'll cause one more extra point of stamina damage, if you know what I mean. But, oh well. Anyway, here's paragraph 81. You step back out into the main hallway to decide a way onwards. Will you investigate the large double doors, 10 to 256, or will you instead look for another way, 10 to 47? Okay, we're going to investigate the large double doors, and therefore turning to 256. You are naturally suspicious of such an important-looking door being open. It looks safe enough, but are you walking into a trap? You pick up a length of wood lying in the hallway and touch the door. Nothing happens. You shove the door open a little further, and then you realize the trap. A roaring flame and blast of heat flare up from behind the door, causing you to shield your face. The door opens directly into a burning inferno. Your heart sinks. There seems to be no way through here. Do you want to let the door close and try the ornate door? Perhaps to return here later, 10 to 336. Or will you risk an all-or-nothing run through the inferno, 10 to 541? Okay, we're going to risk an all-or-nothing run through the inferno, and 10 to 541. You use the sapling once more to shove the door wide open. The roaring swells and the heat blasts your face. With stolid determination, you leap through the door. This leap is noble but foolish. You land in the centre of the inferno, screaming wildly as your clothes, then your hair catch fire and your blood boils. Your death is mercifully quick. But it isn't, because we're taking the Torture Master's advice and turning to paragraph 399, because the flames are just an illusion. Which of course leads me to the next question. If the flames are an illusion, why are they doing damage? I mean, they're an illusion if you know they're an illusion. Which, I suppose sort of makes sense, but it's still sort of confusing to me. Anyway, 399. The flames lick your clothes, and the flames lick your clothes, and the heat begins to feel unbearable. But you have seen through its illusion. As you continue through the inferno, its effects die. The flames are cold. There is no heat. On the far side of the inferno is another door, which you walk comfortably up to, 10 to 150. A sign over the door catches your attention. It reads, Chamber of Night. You pause for a moment before you try the door. What can the Chamber of Night hold in store? Night creatures, sleeping gas? There is only one way you will find out. You turn the handle. The door opens to a room as black as coal. Not a beam of light comes from the room. Even the dull light from the area where you now stand cannot penetrate its blackness. There we go. Do you have a candle which you can use to light your way through this room? If so, turn to 13. If not, turn to 308. Okay, we do have such a candle, and so we're turning to 13, because we bought those two candles, didn't we? So 13, here we come. Which candle will you use will you use to light your way? The blood candle, turn to 38, or an ordinary candle, turn to 72. Okay, we're going to use the ordinary candle and turn to 72. Just make a note that it's been used. So I'll just put ordinary 1 used. Okay, here we are. You take the candle from your pack and concentrate. Suddenly a flame flickers and appears at the wick, just in time as the door behind you slams shut of its own accord. You are alone in the room, but your candle lights up some of the way. You gasp as you look at the floor. Sharp blades protrude through the wooden floorboards at irregular intervals. Your balance will have to be perfect as you pick your way through this deadly maze. Will you be able to keep your footing? Choose your next few steps by turning either to reference 87 or to 239. Okay. We're going to go to reference 87. Let's go there now. You inch your way slowly across the room. For your next few steps, choose either 488, 341 or 359. We're going to choose 341. I have it on good authority that it doesn't really matter which way we go. Beads of sweat appear on your forehead. The going is difficult as the candlelit shadows sway across the room, but so far you have not touched any of the blades. To take your next few steps, choose between turning to 262, 239 or 52. We're going to choose 52. At last, your hand touches the wall ahead of you and feels the outline of a door. You grasp the handle and turn it. Turn to 33. You breathe a sigh of relief as you step out of the darkness and into a brightly lit room. Your eyes smart in the light, and you are forced to close them momentarily to adjust. Hurried by relief, you step through the doorway, perhaps a little too quickly. Caution should have been your watchword. As you step into the bright room, hands grab your wrists. Guards, you have been captured. The 2 sentries march you proudly over towards 2 doors in the left-hand wall. Their gruff voices cannot conceal their excitement as they bundle you in through one of the doors to present you to their captain. Khartoum, captain of the guards, sits behind a wooden desk which is covered in papers. You are surprised to find that he is no beastman, as are the other guards. He is tall, slim, and his long hair falls down to his shoulders. Although he is a human, he is not from Analand. Most probably he is a renegade from the lands to the east of Kakabad. Will you face the captain to see what he has to say, turn to 508, or would you rather try to make a break for it before the door is closed behind you, turn to 154. Okay. We're going to face the captain to see what he has to say, and turn to 508. The Analander, exclaims the captain in a high-pitched voice. You have done well. This capture will be reported to the master. The 2 guards shift their positions and grunt proudly at each other. The captain stares deep into your eyes and sits down at his desk. But now, he says, we must question our prisoner. You look round the room while he studies you. Turn to the illustration opposite reference 375 for a view of the room, and study it hard, for there may be a clue which can help you. The captain asks your intentions. Will you tell him that you have a private message for the Archmage, 10 to 43? Will you tell him you have come to destroy the evil within the fortress, turn to 122? Or will you offer him something from your backpack, perhaps as a bribe, turn to 232? Okay, well, Again, we've been recognised as the Analander, but we know that can't happen because we prevented the 7 serpents or whatever from contacting the Archmage. Therefore, we can subtract 40 from this and turn to 468. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at 375 quickly. So 375 and then 468. Okay, there's the captain and one of the guards. We are turning to 468 because we shouldn't be recognised as the Analander. The captain looks at you curiously. The obvious similarity between your races has come as a shock to him as well. You hold his gaze, then look around the room. The room is illustrated opposite reference 375. You may find a useful clue in this illustration. Finally, he sits down and speaks to you. What have we here, he asks. An intruder, or one with legitimate business so deep within the confines of the fortress? Well, have you lost your tongue? What will you tell the captain? Will you pretend you have a message for the Archmage? Turn to 201. Will you tell him you have sworn to destroy the evil within the fortress? Turn to 122. Or will you offer him something from your backpack, perhaps as a bribe? Turn to 232. Okay, so let's have a look at the picture opposite paragraph 375. Okay. Okay, so there's a picture of a woman there, and that's a clue. Let's go back to 468. Okay, and we're going to offer him something from our backpack, perhaps as a bribe, and turn to 232. What can you offer the captain? Do you have 3 gold pieces to tempt? Do you have 3 gold pieces with which to tempt him? If so, turn to 76. If you have a locket found along your journey, turn to 290. If you have any Borin skin boots, turn to 130. If you have none of these, turn to 385. Okay, so do we have a locket? That's the important thing. So, locket. Yes, here it is. We have locket with a portrait of a woman. So, and that woman, or rather the woman in the picture, that's the clue. So, therefore, we're turning to 290. You mention the locket to him and describe the portrait painted within. The captain's jaw drops. Let me see it, he demands. You get him to agree to release your hands and you fish for the locket in your bag. Realizing its significance, you concoct a story telling him how it was given to you in Kare by a beautiful woman who gave you instructions to pass it to a Captain Khartoum with her love. A tear appears in the corner of the captain's eye and he waves the guards away so that he may talk to you in private. You continue your story and he listens earnestly, believing every word. In return for bringing this locket, he agrees to help you. He pulls a key from his pocket and hands it to you. The key has the number 17 cast into it. This key will open the next Throban doors to which you come, at the foot of the Archmage's tower. When you arrive at the next set of Throban doors, you may use this key by deducting its number from the reference on which you are and turning to this new reference. Now you may leave the captain, pining for his lost sweetheart. Turn to 463. Okay, so let's make a note of that key. So we have key with 17 and then in brackets deduct 17 from the paragraph number at the next Throban doors. Okay. So that's that. And now we're turning to 463, which we will read in the next part. So on paragraph 463, let's make a note of that. So 463, unread of course. We should be able to have this done in the next video. Yeah, we should be able to complete the game in the next video. There's perhaps one more after that. It's difficult to say, but yeah, we should be able to do it in the next video. If not, definitely within the next 2 videos. So yeah, and then that's the end of Steve Jackson Sorcery. Yeah, good. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this part, and the next part we should be able to complete the game. So thanks again, and goodbye.